Hey everyone, welcome to another episode. I am your host, the only Kayla, and today I have a very, very special guest. Today, my guest is a reality television personality. Cheryl Rich is with me. Cheryl, how are you?
Hey, Kayla. Hi, everybody. Honored to be here.
I am honored to have you. So Cheryl is one of the hosts on Fox Soul's newest 1 hour talk show called The House. Now,
Mhm.
Cheryl, tell us a little bit about what The House is about.
The house is about, it's an all Black panel, unapologetically Black. It is the very first one in Hollywood with all gay panel. I am the one, other than the males, I'm the only female. And I always tell everybody, I used to be gay and I used to be straight. Now I just want to get in the bed and go to sleep by 8. So So I refuse to get in a box. People say, "Well, are you gay?" And I say, what do you think?" "Well, are you? You want me to be?" God, that's what the show is about. The house is about owning your peace of mind. It's about being comfortable in your skin and loving who you want and going through the judgment that comes with that within society. And we're there to role model, most of all, for my young people like you, how to just become comfortable in your skin.
I think
That's
that's amazing, and I think that, we need to see more of that, and I'm glad that we're having these conversations. I know this show specifically is focused on Black LGBTQIA experience.
yes,
Tell me a little bit about the topics that you guys discuss on this show.
yes. Aaron Johnson Levy, creator of the show, Doug DeLuca, who was in the trenches with Jimmy Kimmel when Jimmy Kimmel first got started, pushed this project. Kurt T. Jones basically carried it on his back. There is Antonio there, there's Chris there, and this show is about all different kinds of topics. It is two transgenders on a talk show, first time again, history of Hollywood. We had someone that was a doula. I learned so much about the delivery of babies and what that takes to do that at home. We've got Nico, who went through his transition when we shot the show. It was about finding the strength to continue in Nico's world. And at that point, Nico was just transitioning from to Nico. And we learned a lot about feelings and thoughts and process of that. So it's the topics are so vast, and it's about life. It's about the topics are about universal topics,
Mhm.
universal life. And we all are here to say mental health is wealth, and that's really what it's about. It's
Mhm.
about owning your peace of mind and the
Mhm.
topics. Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. Tell me a little bit about why discussing these topics is so important.
Well, I pushed this show. I'm the executive producer who brought all the puzzle pieces together. And I was so avid about this show because at 17 years old, I went to my first gay bar. I brought a woman home to my mother and said, "Hey, and I'm in love." And she fainted. She was like, "Whoa," it was too much. So I really pushed this project so that the voices, I don't like to say underserved.
Mhm.
I like I like to say voices that many powers that be have attempted to block. The important voices who have lived through the judgment within our society.
Mhm.
And that's why this project was so important to me, specifically for Black gay men.
Mhm.
The foundation of our world, if you ask me. And just Black gay men just really never had a space where they could just be who they are
Mhm.
and be a positive role model. We don't throw drinks in each other's faces. It never even came to that while we were shooting. We don't say the word "be" 16 times in 3 minutes. And so this is a positive role model show, and for young, specifically young people of color, period,
Mhm.
but most of all the gay population.
Yeah,
And
I think that's great that you guys are shedding a light on these topics that need to be spoken about from
mm,
Black voices. You know, because at the end of the day, this is to empower the community and to say, hey, it's okay to have these feelings. It's okay to talk about mental health. It's okay to address
mhm.
these issues. And then to see a panel of powerful people like you guys to kind of amplify the voice, I think it's amazing. You did mention you are the only female, correct, on this panel?
Yes, yes.
Tell me, what insight do you bring to this show?
Well, that's a good question. First of all, we're in a Black Lives Matter climate, that a place that we have never ever been, with voices of all colors speaking up to say, hey, I'm tired of being rotten inside, because that's what racism is. It's a rottening inside the soul. So there are people that are not Black that are saying, hey, enough target practice of shooting down Black people in the streets of this country that was pretty much built on violence. Unfortunately, I hate to say that. And what do I bring? I my first boyfriend had a sex change when I was very young, and I remember thinking, "But I still love you." When he came to me, and I decided, because I still loved him, let's roll together, and we did. So I was really raised by gay Black men, specifically gay Black men that dressed in drag, and I learned how to go shop at the Goodwill and look like you just fell out of a magazine. I learned how to design my own clothes, which is what I've got on. So I know that the gay Black male voice empowers so many different cultures. And that's why I took that seat, because I understand it from my core. And again, I haven't had a relationship. I was in my 20s when I dealt with women, and yet I'm still supposed to be gay, and or I got to be something. And this meant so much to me, because now we got the voices of the people who have lived it. It's not about me. I'm sitting there in support of the population who is the foundation of this country, of the world. And we get a chance to hear their insight. And that's why it was so important to me. I've lived through it. I was raised by gay Black men, and they inspired me in every way.
That's good. That's great. So you did touch base a little bit about the guests that you had on the show. Who can we expect coming forward, like in the next few episodes?
Well, I don't want to spoil it, but I will
So give us
say,
like a little preview. You don't have to say names, but maybe like topics that might be addressed.
well, again, it's such a fresh concept. Samson McCormick is going to be next. And
Okay.
Samson has a rich history as a comedian, people telling him he could not do it. There's no way you're going to survive. And yet, what a survivor, and was so inspiring with the words that Samson McCormick said. I'm going to stop there, because this show is so fresh, Kayla.
Hmm.
It's so, it's got I mean, we're getting back channeled in the whole bit, and they're hanging on the seats like, what's next? And I
Uh-huh.
wouldn't want to spoil that for anyone, but I will say Samson is coming from the heart, coming from devastating experiences,
Hmm.
just because he chooses to love. And that is going to be an eye opener.
Hmm.
So we've got mothers that are, reaching out saying, hey, you're giving me an understanding of my child. We've got voices that are coming in. Older Jewish guy was like, hey, this reminds me of how it felt in my family. It was all different kinds of people, except in my family, nobody talked about it, and elephants stayed in the room. You guys have taken the elephant out the room. So that's what I'd like to just stop there and just
Hmm.
say, you got to tune in. Kayla, I want you to, for sure, all of you, come in and see this fresh take on owning your power.
No, for sure. And one thing I love about it is just by talking to you, I can just I just know that this show it's amazing because it's not just impacting people of color or minorities, but it's touching everyone, and everyone has their own story. And just to know that you guys are reaching far more than what you guys probably imagined, I think it's beautiful. That anyone that can tune into this show can tune in and say, wow, I have a similar experience and I grew up in a totally different home.
Because I talk about, the disconnect between me and my mother. I was raped by a priest at 11.
Wow.
I was a 12-year-old mother. So we go deep. We really peel open to allow a space, a safe space for the young gay person who has no place. We are championing, be free, own. And that doesn't feel good that I have to tell you that. But what it makes me understand is that doesn't define who I am now.
Right.
And that's what this show is about. Let us assist in raising the consciousness of
Mhm.
this world.
Yeah, and I think that there's a lot, like I can speak from the Hispanic community,
Yes.
as a Latina, growing up, mental health wasn't something that we spoke about. It was like, like we make a joke of it, but like when you look back on it, it's like, wow, like we were kind of like programmed to be this way in terms of like, if you were feeling depressed, parents would be like, I'll give you something to be depressed about, like not realizing that
Mm.
these are real, not saying my parents, but just saying like in the
Yeah,
Hispanic
yeah,
community, it's
yeah.
like taboo. Like you couldn't say that you were feeling depressed, or you couldn't talk about mental health. It was kind of like, again, something you just don't talk about. And now that I'm older, and being able to have this platform and talking to so many different people, I see
Yes.
how it affects our young men, our in their later life, not being
Oh,
able to
yes.
process emotions, not being able to say, hey, I'm not okay, like,
Mm,
because in the Hispanic community, it was like you weren't okay, you weren't allowed to have those feelings,
mm.
because then now you're viewed as feminine, or you're not allowed to just have an off day, and so I see it today, even like in my husband. Sometimes he has a hard
Yes.
time processing emotions, and I'm like, it's okay, it's okay to not be
Ah.
okay. It's okay
Oh,
to communicate, because it's just
yes.
sometimes in these in our households, it's just like,
Mm.
it's you
Suck
can't
it
talk
up.
about that. Yeah, suck
Yeah.
it up, or
As a matter of fact, Aaron Johnson Levy, who wrote the show, said that that's what made him think of this show.
yeah.
He wanted to talk to young Aaron. And Aaron, I've known Aaron since he was 17. I think Aaron's 40 now. Could never find a space, not with his family,
Mhm.
not here, not over there. And he was quote unquote feminine. And it was like, stop acting like a girl.
Right.
What you doing, boy? That
Right.
kind of thing. And
Hmm.
that's what made him birth the house.
Yeah, I agree. Like men are not, it's like men weren't allowed, or not even men because they're men now, but like young boys weren't allowed to cry, when they were
Yes.
overwhelmed, or cry when they were sad. It was like, no, like get up and be a man, man up, right? But I think it's great
Yeah.
that there's shows like this. And people like you can tell your story, because again, I can talk from the Hispanic community.
Yes.
Sometimes we go through a lot, right? Everyone has their own story.
Yes.
And
That's right.
oftentimes you feel embarrassed and you don't want to tell your story, but you don't realize who you can help by telling your story. So that's why I think that you
Oh, yes,
guys,
Taylor.
what you're doing is absolutely amazing, because it's not embarrassing. It's your story, it's
No.
yours. It's nothing to be embarrassed about. And imagine the hundreds and thousands of people you are affecting just by telling your story.
Wow. I often say, who wants to be, who wants to really go under a knife and actually get cut on in a surgical environment if that was not in their soul.
Hmm.
So it's not embarrassing. A lot of things I've done in my life, I wish I had done differently, but I was in a lot of pain.
Yeah.
And so, no, now it's not embarrassing. And each and every one of us must lift our voices. I'm so happy for the young generation like you, Kayla. You guys are coming through a whole nother time right now where I'm going to talk about it.
Uh-huh.
I'm not going to, it's not no shh, that's the past. No, it's
Hmm.
affecting me now,
Right.
So
Hmm.
I'm loving it. I love it.
Yeah. It's amazing. I saw it was to switch gears a little bit, I saw a funny meme that it
Please.
was like saying, don't mess with this generation when it comes to the workplace because they will quit on you. They will say, oh, no, no, no. Bye. I don't need this job. I'll get me another job. Where when we were like, when our parents were raised, it was like, no, you stick with a job, you stay there for like 20, 30 years, regardless if you like it or not, because you got to provide for your family. But now this new generation is like, oh no, you're not going to overwork me and underpay me. You're not gonna not value me as an employee. And we're seeing even now, which is so crazy, that this is a generation of entrepreneurs. People are
Yes,
not working for companies anymore,
that's
which is, I
true.
think it's amazing to see. I live in Atlanta. I'm from the Bronx, born and raised, but
Okay.
I moved to Atlanta 3 years ago. And it's so funny. I tell all my New York friends, I'm like, listen, I'm a hustler because I come from New York, but
Okay.
Atlanta, they get
What?
to it. Like, this is the city that I can say I've seen young black and entrepreneurs, like 21-year-olds, 25-year-olds
Whoa.
owning businesses, owning movie studios.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow,
Okay.
the people here inspire me because they're getting to it, and they're entrepreneurs, and they're young, and they're people of color that are saying, no, I'm not gonna work for you. I'm gonna have my own business, and I'm gonna employ people who look like me.
Oh,
So
and you're not going to have a torturous, toxic environment.
exactly.
That's what you're saying. And that's what's so important is to have shows like The House to make you understand, no,
Yep.
no, no. Dis-ease in the mind will create that disease in the body.
Yep.
And when we think about it like that, it's like, I gotta go if it's that toxic.
Right.
And that's what you young people are owning. And
Mm-hmm.
it's coming off the backs of the generation of your, kind of like your mother. She's younger than I am, but it was my generation that, the village people came,
Mm-hmm.
and suddenly we had the Parliament Funkadelic, and the mothership connection happened, and the ship landed, and there was a man on the stage with a diaper on playing a guitar, and it just went. After that, we was like, oh, we got to talk about it. So we really got off into drugs to try to, a lot of us, to medicate the pain because it was disco. But now you all are coming, with clear heads,
Yeah.
saying, hey, I can talk about, if I got something on my heart, if I'm experiencing some type of abuse, I'm going to speak on it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's so powerful. And we at the house coming to make sure we can amplify that mindset.
Mm-hmm. That's amazing. Is there someone that you would like to have at your seat for one of these upcoming episodes? If there's anyone, they don't have to necessarily be famous, or they could be famous, right? Someone
Yes.
that you would love to see sit in front of you, and for you guys to just have an open and honest discussion. Anyone, who would that person be?
To tell you the truth, I would love, right now in this climate, I would love Dave Chappelle. I would love the baby. I would love Bootsy. I'm Auntie Cheryl.
Mm-hmm.
I come from the ghetto streets. And I know that the mindsets that are sitting at the house as Black men to come together in a conversation with the three names I just mentioned would be incredible for the masses.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what's on my heart, what the creator's putting on my heart right now.
Mm-hmm.
Indeed.
I think that would be a great conversation to have,
Oh,
especially with this panel of amazing people. I think that would be great. And I think that's something that you guys should definitely try to coordinate.
I heard that. Well, we're open, and anytime we're talking, and I don't know, the other the other host might look at me and be like, "You said what?" I I really am Auntie Cheryl.
Mhm.
Antonio is my generation, as he sits there, and we are there for this little Nas to come
Mhm.
sit. Let's talk about it. Let's really peel open that hurt people just hurt people,
Yeah.
and you don't want to hurt once you don't hurt anymore. And when you're hurting, it can be seen, and it doesn't have to happen. And we're there with open arms, open arms.
That's beautiful.
Indeed.
How does it feel for you to be able to be as open and honest as you are to talk about these very serious topics that need to be addressed, to be able to impact people of color um, on Fox. How does it feel to have that
Wow.
platform?
Wow. Fox Soul, went to Fox. I mean, it's just incredible that they are visionaries. Fox Soul, Fox visionaries to really look at this show and say, we want to be that incubator for this show. We are so proud. And to think again that Doug DeLuca stepped out with his lineage in Hollywood, connected to the Jimmy Kimmel Show, and had a heart to say, I believe that we should be free to speak, to love, and let's go. So it's so much gratitude. And I am one on that panel who has really, I ran amok in my 20s. And I tell everyone, when you can type in my name and my entire criminal record comes up, I am from an ex-convict to a master's in clinical psychology to an executive producer in Hollywood. And if that is not us, a real picture that all things are possible, what is? So when you can type in my name and my whole criminal record come up, I gotta be free. I or get up under a rock. So I'm coming to peel open like an onion and make people cry. We thank Fox Soul. We thank Fox, Doug DeLuca, Kurt T. Jones, who put all this together, Doug Jeffrey, who's 41 Sets, first one to come in with the very first investment money, and all the crew who came together, because we don't get a lot of money coming out the gate as Black shows, but we know that we are necessary. And people like Fox Soul and Fox knows it too. And I am honored to be here, to be a role model, to say I'm not proud of the choices I made, but I will stand in my power to say, don't hurt like I have hurt. I've done that for you. And I always tell everybody, I am naked insanity. Why do I say that? Because when you peel insanity and take all of its insanity's clothes off, you have sane. So naked insanity, is where you come to get your mind medicine so that you can go pick up your prescription to become authentically who you are. And I live every day to uplift the ones who are downtrodden in this society, like my gay Black men, to say, no, 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 I will stand, I will take the bullets, and hopefully they won't come, real bullets won't come to me, but I'm here to stand and say, just as sure as you hate yourself, you can love yourself. And it took me a whole lot of pain to come to that, my queen.
Whew, Cheryl, thank you so much for dropping these
Honored.
gems and for truly just being a pillar in the community, for being an open book, and just going back to what we were talking about, is that it's nothing embarrassing about your stories. Are there decisions that we made in our life that sometimes we might be like, oh, I wish I would have done that differently? Yes, but our
Yes.
story is our story, and we are here for a reason, and we are here for a purpose. So I'm honored to have had this conversation with you, and to know that what you're doing and the platform that you are giving is helping so many people. So people probably, so many more people that you probably can't even imagine. So
Oh,
always remember that. Before we wrap up, please tell everyone where they can find you on social media, and also tell everyone how they can tune in to the show, The House.
yes. On Fridays, at West Coast time, 6 o'clock. Or it's on Roku, foxsoul.tv. By all means, download it. Whatever you do when you watch, you feel it, let them know. You can go to YouTube on Friday nights, 6 o'clock, West Coast time, and type in Fox Soul and then The House. It's got, we got TGIF before we come on. I'm loving that show.
Mhm.
And for myself, my name is Cheryl Rich. CHERYLRICH.com is my website. And I am on IG at Cheryl Helps. And that's HELPS at Cheryl Helps. I'm Auntie Cheryl for all of those who are hurting and for the ones who have already healed. I'm here for you. And I come to give my heart, and I thank you, Kate. Thank all of you here right now. We are so very grateful that you all would reach out and say, come on over here. And I just thank you all so much for what you're doing with this outreach, this mega outreach that you have.